You sit at your desk, staring at a screen, and the day has already slipped entirely out of your hands. You have 100 tasks on a crumbling to-do list, a dozen unanswered messages demanding your attention, and a quiet, suffocating sense of panic building in your chest. You tell yourself that tomorrow will be the day you finally get organized. You promise yourself that next week you will wake up early, build the perfect routine, and finally become the disciplined, successful person you have been pretending to be. But the days blur into months, the months dissolve into years, and you are still running on the exact same treadmill of exhaustion and regret. You think you are simply lacking willpower. Modern society has sold you a devastating lie about success. It tells you that you need to hustle 24 hours a day. It tells you to download 10 different productivity apps, track every micro habit, and optimize every second of your existence. But you know the truth. You know that attempting to micromanage a chaotic life with a fractured, anxious mind is like trying to build a skyscraper on quicksand. Thousands of years ago, the ancient Stoics, men who ruled the known world and men who survived the brutal realities of exile, did not rely on complex, exhausting systems to achieve monumental success. Men like Seneca and Marcus Aurelius operated on a terrifyingly simple law of human dynamics. You do not need to control the entire day. You only need to absolutely, ruthlessly conquer the first 30 minutes. They understood that a half hour of pure, undistracted mental alignment is a weapon that can cut through any amount of external chaos. They knew that if you do not forge your mind the moment you wake up, the world will gladly forge it for you. Today we are going to tear down the fragile, anxious architecture of your daily routine. We are going to construct a brutal 30-minute Stoic success plan that will fundamentally rewire your mind and your life. These are not soft wellness tips. This is a lethal psychological protocol. When you install this 30-minute framework into your morning, you will stop bleeding your premium energy into the void, and you will begin to move through the world with untouchable sovereign authority. Before we forge this new inner citadel, you must make a definitive choice. Are you going to continue letting the world hijack your focus, or are you ready to claim your throne? If you are genuinely tired of being a passenger in your own life, hit the subscribe button right now to join an elite echelon of minds who refuse to live on autopilot. Share this transmission with someone who is currently drowning in their own unfulfilled potential. And whatever you do, do not skip a single moment of this blueprint. Every minute we uncover is a critical piece of the armor you are about to put on. Seal your commitment to this transformation today. Drop this exact vow in the comments right now. I command my 30 minutes and I conquer my life. Number 1, the absolute quarantine of the external world. Look at your typical morning. The alarm screams, and your very first biological reflex is to reach blindly into the dark for a glowing screen. Before your eyes have even adjusted to the light, you have invited the entire planet into your bedroom. You absorb the manufactured outrage of the news, the carefully curated highlight reels of your peers, and the urgent demands of your inbox. Within 60 seconds of regaining consciousness, you have completely surrendered your psychological sovereignty to algorithms and strangers. Your brain in the morning is highly neuroplastic. It is a sponge waiting to be told what frequency to operate on for the next 16 hours. When you flood it with digital noise, you are programming yourself for chronic anxiety, comparison, and reactivity. The first 5 minutes of your success plan demand a ruthless, non-negotiable quarantine. You must become the absolute gatekeeper of your mind. When you open your eyes, your phone remains face down, silenced, and completely ignored. You do not look at a single message. You do not check a single notification. You force yourself to exist in the terrifying, beautiful silence of your own physical reality. By denying the world access to your first waking moments, you prove to your subconscious mind that your peace is infinitely more valuable than their urgency. You strip the external world of its authority, and you sit in the quiet realization that you alone dictate the terms of your existence. Lock in your mental boundary today. Comment below. I protect the gates of my mind. the noise is denied. Number 2, the clinical audit of brutal truth. You are exhausted because you are walking into today, dragging the heavy, rotting corpse of yesterday behind you. You wake up replaying a conversation where you felt foolish. You carry the guilt of a promise you broke to yourself. You simmer in the resentment of a perceived slight. You are polluting the pristine, untouched potential of a brand new day with the toxic runoff of a past that no longer materially exists. The Stoic views time with clinical precision. What happened yesterday is dead. It cannot be altered, reasoned with, or undone. To carry it is an exercise in sheer madness. Minutes 5 to 10 of your plan are dedicated to the practice of radical, unvarnished journaling. You sit down with a blank piece of paper and you perform a psychological autopsy. You write down the anxiety circling in your head. You write down the fear that is making your chest tight. You do not edit it to sound poetic. You write the ugly, honest truth. The simple act of pulling these phantoms out of the dark corners of your brain and pinning them to a piece of paper completely strips them of their power. You look at them objectively and you declare, I owe the past absolutely nothing. By dumping your mental garbage onto the page, you clear the runway for the present. You create a vast empty space in your psyche where pure, unadulterated focus can finally take root. Claim your psychological freedom right now. Type this: I release the dead past to conquer the living present. Number 3, the premeditation of guaranteed chaos. We have been conditioned by modern self-help to rely on toxic positivity. You wake up and tell yourself that today will be perfect, that everyone will be kind, and that your plans will unfold flawlessly. And because you have set an impossibly utopian expectation, the exact moment a colleague lies to you, or a project fails, or traffic slows to a crawl, your entire mental framework shatters. You spiral into rage and victimhood because reality refused to honor your delusion. The 1% mind does not rely on the fragile hope of a perfect day. The Stoic warrior prepares for war. For the next 5 minutes, you engage in premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. You close your eyes and you deliberately visualize the chaos that is coming. You picture the difficult client. You imagine the technology failing. You foresee the moment your motivation drops and you want to quit. You look at these guaranteed disasters directly in the eye, and you predecide your exact response. You tell yourself, when they disrespect me, I will remain entirely silent. When the plan fails, I will pivot without a drop of panic. When you mentally rehearse your resilience before the crisis ever arrives, you become immune to the shock of the world. You step out of your door, not hoping for an easy life, but fully armed and lethally prepared for a hard one. Anchor your unshakable armor today. Drop this vow in the comments. I expect the chaos and I remain untouched. Number 4, the violent elimination of the unessential. Look at the endless, suffocating to-do list you write every morning. It has 25 items on it. You believe that if you can just check off enough boxes, you will finally feel successful. But busy is a remarkably sophisticated form of laziness. You spend your entire day answering emails, organizing folders, and doing trivial administrative tasks. You feel exhausted, but you have made zero actual progress toward your ultimate purpose. You are using motion to avoid the terror of doing the one heavy, meaningful thing that would actually change your life. Minutes 15 to 20 require you to operate like a ruthless sniper. You look at your mountain of responsibilities and you practice the art of violent elimination. You ask yourself one singular question: if I could only accomplish exactly one task today, which task would render all the others irrelevant? You identify the highest leverage, most uncomfortable, most essential action on your board. You circle it. That is your mission. Everything else is just noise. When you refuse to scatter your premium energy across a dozen trivial distractions, and instead pour the full terrifying weight of your consciousness into a single focal point, you become an unstoppable force of nature. You stop playing the game of being busy, and you enter the quiet, lethal arena of true execution. Commit to the power of singular attention right now. Comment below: I eliminate the noise. I execute the essential. Number 5. The biological injection of voluntary friction. You try to think your way into feeling confident. You sit in your comfortable temperature-controlled room, wrapped in a soft blanket, and you try to mentally convince your brain to be brave, disciplined, and relentless. But your biology is smarter than your logic. If your body has never been tested, your mind will never believe it is strong. Modern life has engineered almost all physical friction out of your existence. And because you never faced natural resistance, your baseline for handling stress has completely atrophied. For the final 5 minutes of this success plan, you must bypass the brain entirely and command the physical vessel. You must deliberately inject a microdose of intense voluntary friction into your nervous system. You drop to the floor and force your muscles to perform push-ups until they burn. You step into a freezing shower and force your mind to remain perfectly calm while your biology panics. You shock the system. This is not about fitness. This is about asserting absolute dominance over your impulses. When you deliberately choose pain and conquer it before breakfast, you prove to your subconscious mind that discomfort is not an emergency. You forge a callus over your soul. The individual who actively hunts the fire can never be burned by the unpredictable heat of the day. Claim your physical dominance today. Type this: I seek the friction that forges my strength. Number 6, the radical surrender of the final outcome. We arrive at the philosophical capstone that seals the entire 30-minute architecture. The root cause of your chronic exhaustion is that you believe you are responsible for the final outcome. You believe that if you just worry enough, obsess enough, and grip the steering wheel tight enough, you can force the universe to hand you the money, the recognition, or the success.